On behalf of Inner Melbourne Action Plan councils, I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and pay respects to elders past and present.
Well, the basic issue in the City of Melbourne is, of course, the availability and the cost of land. I mean, this is a very expensive part of our city.
It is such a premium place, but affording a house here is next to impossible.
Congestion is one of the problems, and the availability of land is another issue.
Maribyrnong is growing quite considerably. We're going to grow by at least a quarter by 2031, and that will be well and truly a metropolis.
The problem's not one that's going to go away with the growth projections that we have, and in public housing alone there's a waiting list of something like 35,000 people.
Most of the people definitely would like to stay in a house, definitely would like to have a clean bed, definitely would want to have reasonable meals.
Yeah, it's really important to make sure that as many people as possible can have safe and secure housing. But we can't do it all at local government level. We just simply haven't got the resources.
It's important for people to be housed in places where they can get access to jobs, where there's services available, and the opportunities for social inclusion are higher than if they were out in the suburbs that they couldn't connect to other people in other places.
What we don't want is to create great ghettos of cheaper housing on the outskirts of the city. That has not been successful in past models in this or many other cities.
Councils can also play a role in communicating to their constituents what affordable housing means. It doesn't mean huge towers of poverty. That's not how we approach affordable housing.
It's very much also about, destigmatising social housing, destigmatising public housing.
Looking forward, social housing needs to be appropriately located, close to key infrastructure.
So it would be great to see local governments really having strong targets for social and affordable housing in their communities.
For me, it's not an ad hoc band-aid solution. It is what local government can do with state government, can do with federal government. It is an integrated approach. But local government can certainly raise the awareness, can facilitate dialogues, can actually be a champion for change.
Yeah, I think local governments mainly should be actively facilitating social housing. So that's working with key partners to bring about projects, to encourage inclusionary zoning, so quotas of affordable housing in sites that are being converted for that purpose.
And local governments themselves can be looking at where their community facilities are, how those pieces of land can be used to maximise housing opportunity.
Councils could also provide land, and not that there's much of that left anymore, but creative ways to provide space for developing affordable housing, like providing access to air rights above council-owned car parks.
Time Place, we completed that in May 2012. The City Port Phillip Council provided us air rights above a car park. So it was very innovative on a laneway, and we've built 21 one-bedroom apartments. And so because we didn't have to pay for land, and there was also some state government funding in there, that project is completely for people on low incomes.
Port Phillip Housing Association have been really successful in working with good architects and good financial advisors.
We've had some examples that we're very proud of here. A very small part in Common Ground in Elizabeth Street, more recently Drill Hall in Ferry Street, a very interesting model.
The Drill Hall is an example of where a partnership has worked, where the council came together with developer, Housing Choices Australia, the state government and some philanthropic funds, and we were able to get a project off the ground.
We've been really lucky at Common Equity Housing to have great relationships. We've had a lot of support, and we've produced some wonderful projects like the one we're sitting in now. This Skip Street project is a great example of a modern and sustainable approach to social housing. We've got market housing side by side with social housing. It's not a concentration of disadvantage, it's just a beautiful inner city housing project.
So I don't have a car, so I have to be near good public transport, and this is public transport heaven for Melbourne. Being a tenant and having some say in what happens to your tenancy is amazing.
I wish one day return back to work and have a decent place to live. I live in a boarding house, but I feel I don't have a home. I have a house, but I don't have a home.
Safety. Safety is the prime thing, where you can walk into your own place, close the door and you're safe. And also a sense of normality, that no matter how small that place is, it's your home. And I think it's far more important than a lot of people realise.
Women and children who are exposed to family violence are facing very difficult choices in whether to stay at home, whether to leave. If they want to leave the violence, where do they go?
People experiencing homelessness need much more than just shelter, but you can't solve homelessness without a home.
Most of the people I associate with that have gone through homelessness want a chance to get back on their feet.
It's important that residents of Maribyrnong City Council can have their families and live comfortably long into the future in this city.
I would like to see a lot more social housing and public housing in places where people can live and get around easily.
Moving from one boarding house to another won't solve the problem. We definitely should have more housing stock.
What we want local governments to do is ensure that there is enough social housing built into every development in their patch.
The great advantage that local government has is that it is close to its community. It knows its community.
I think we've got to put our money where our mouth is, really. We've got a policy at the City of Melbourne that when we do developments, we look for up to 15% of that development as affordable housing.
So there's been a lot of great one-off innovations that have met specific needs, and I think there's now a number of those that we can look to as successes and build upon those successes.
I think it's not just the job of local government, it absolutely needs the commitment of federal and state governments to fund social housing. Local government's got a role to play, but it can't do it on its own.
If we don't find ways of making it work, and that doesn't mean just whinging about federal or state money, then our cities will be the poorer for it.